Hand cannons in Destiny have been at the top of the food chain in PvP for a long time. With the precise shots and superb handling, it makes a direct choice for those looking to improve their skills and those who have mastered PvP. From exotics to legendaries today, we will be going over the top 10 hand cannons for PvP. Now, this is going to be my opinion, taking into account the different playstyles as well as cross-platform, and we're going to go over that throughout. So please, don't get upsetty spaghetti, don't put me on Reddit, just comment down below if it made you upset. All right, let's get into it. Now, the first hand cannon on the list is going to be Igneous Hammer. This was a 120 RPM legendary hand cannon that took PvP by storm. Now, with the extremely long range shots and the ability to hit waist shots, which counted as headshots, this thing is a beast. Before the nerf, an Igneous Hammer with Rampage could 2-tap an opponent after getting that initial kill. It has come in clutch one too many times for myself and many others. Unfortunately, after the recent 120 RPM and Rampage perk nerf, Igneous Hammer can still be seen on the battlefield. Now, with its long range and forgivable hitbox, it is absolutely perfect for those long range maps such as Widow's Court and Fortress for those hand cannon lovers. How would you get Igneous Hammer? Well, it's only obtainable through completing trials. And if you don't want to go into trials, that's okay because, well, there are many other 120s. But for the best 120, that's how you're going to get it. One of 120's counterpart are going to be the 140 RPM hand cannons, and one that is exceedingly popular is going to be Dire Promise, a favorite among the sweats which survived the first sunsetting of weapons, which took away spare rations and forced most players to pick up Dire for their PvP need. Dire Promise has a fantastic range of rolls that you can get from it, from Snapshot Swashbuckler to Opening Shot Rangefinder. Dire Promise was one of my favorite hand cannons to use, mainly because it felt so crisp and allowed me to really hit those tight shots that other hand cannons just wouldn't let me do. Now, depending on your playstyle, you can try to grind a roll that accommodates your aggressive type of play, or maybe it's more passive. As seasons progress, other 140s took the spotlight, but Dire Promise is still decently popular. One of the most anticipated exotic hand cannons from Destiny 1, which thankfully made its way back into Destiny 2, is going to be Hawkmoon. The 140 RPM hand cannon isn't what it once was, but had an interesting twist when it was brought back. Hawkmoon no longer has its famed perk Luck in the Chamber, as well as its other perk Holding Aces, which would allow you to sometimes get you those crispy one-taps. Today, Hawkmoon has the opportunity to roll with some different perks. You can have different barrels, you can have one perk, and then one grip. This would allow the player to customize their Hawkmoon how they wish depending on the roll they got to drop by doing the Harbinger quest on the EDZ. Personally, the roll that I use and recommend is going to be Eye of the Storm. Now, this allows you to increase your target's hitbox the very second that your shields break. What makes Hawkmoon special in Destiny 2 is called Paracostal Shots. Upon hitting headshots, builds up an almost supercharged shot by the end of your magazine, allowing you to one-shot enemies if you built up enough headshots in that same magazine. Now, I don't want to give you any ideas, but in the right hands, it's one of the most dangerous exotic hand cannons in the game. Moving on to one of my favorite Destiny 1 exotics, Thorn. This hand cannon was as nasty as it got as far as hand cannons. It used to be able to 3-tap from a fair distance, and the tick damage was immense. In Destiny 2, it has been balanced while giving us that same feeling we had back in Destiny 1. As a 140 RPM exotic, it has the ability to poison your enemies and deliver not only the initial damage on getting shot, but also the tick damage over time. Picking up green orbs upon finishing an enemy will allow you to proc Devour, giving you that extra damage for a short time, as well as partially refilling the magazine. With an aggressive playstyle in mind, you can dominate the playing field around killing enemies and preventing those enemies from rezzing teammates depending on the PvP playlist you're in. The only drawback is going to be the range and the lack of Icarus grip, but as a community, we all patiently await a catalyst that fills in that missing piece that will truly make this the most feared exotic. Talking about feared, when you hear this gun going off, you know exactly what it is. The Big Iron. The last word has been a fan favorite, and not just because of the intrinsic perk Fanfire, but when firing from the hip, this hand cannon has a time to kill of just 0.53 seconds. This goes hand in hand with it also being a 225 RPM. That's right, I did not stutter. 225 RPM. The perk Fanfire deals extra damage on crit shots when firing from the hip, which also gives you more accuracy with the more shots you land. Now, this weapon is a must if you use controller. If you're an M&K player, well, I have some sad news for you. This gun is not made for mouse and keyboard. The aim assist values aren't the same, and the gun won't perform as it would on controller. Keep that in mind before heading into PvP with this absolute monster. With the recent updates that came in this last December, we are blessed with some of the weapons we grew to love in Destiny 1. 1000-yard stare, Gallahorn, Matador 64, and the one we're putting at number 5 on the list, Eyasluna. This is a 140 RPM hand cannon that was the popular girl in D1 due to the possible role Luck in the Chamber. For those who don't remember, Luck in the Chamber allowed for one bullet to do a little extra damage. This, at times, made it possible to 2-tap Unlucky Guardians. In Destiny 2, however, it comes with a different set of perks that may not be Luck in the Chamber, but some would argue just as good. Those people are smooth brains. Some new perks you can obtain are Perpetual Motion, Heating Up, as well as my favorite, Headstone. Headstone allows you to turn your enemies after a headshot into a giant rocket pop. I know, it's pretty epic. All in all, Eyasluna has been a very welcome addition to the hand cannon family, as well as feeling so crisp. Hitting 3 taps has never felt so good, and I'll be personally using this hand cannon for a good while, unless something magically drops for Witch Queen in a few weeks. One of the last 150 RPM hand cannons, and it's an exotic. Sunshot is not only deadly, but such an incredibly fun gun to use whether you're in PvP or PvE. This is mainly due to the perk Sunblast. On kills, your enemies will explode into a giant messy ball of fire, damaging anything near and possibly killing them, turning them and chaining explosive deaths. Getting shot with this hand cannon is so overwhelming, it makes it possible to get shot first, turn on them, and still win the gunfight, as well they're not going to be able to see and shoot back properly. Consider this gun the flashbang gun, as it feels that overwhelming. Now let's talk range. Sunshot is an incredible gun, but without the catalyst, it's gonna just fall short. Listen, I'm sorry, I had to. The catalyst gives a massive boost to range, handling, and stability, which allows you to hit those farther shots and compete with those auto rifles 120s and the back of the map Andes that can't seem to get out of their scope. Overall, this hand cannon is incredibly fun to use whether you're in 6v6 game mode or in the ever sweaty 3v3 mode of Trials of Osiris. Now let's get into the top 3 best hand cannons to use in PvP today. I still hurt deep down because back in Destiny 1, I did not get Fatebringer from the Vault of Glass. Thankfully, Vault came back and came with the chance to drop the very sexy and very beautiful Fatebringer 2.0. Now, this gun, much like the ones previously, has the chance to drop with Explosive Shot and Firefly. And if you don't happen to get the Time Lost version, which can be obtained through the Master Vault of Glass, it will come guaranteed alongside some other perks. Fatebringer is nasty, not only due to that explosive payload, which will increase your range, but the hitbox on it just feels chef's kiss. Whenever I feel like my shot may not be on point, I just whip out the old faithful Fatebringer and go to town on my enemies. This is the hand cannon I believe, even going into Witch Queen, will still be a fan favorite to use until that Bungie dev hits that big red sunset button and turns this beautiful hand cannon into a Vault Dweller. All in all, I highly recommend grinding out the Vault of Glass for one of these, and if you're really feeling it, do the Master version. It's worth it, guys. Coming in at number 2, Palindrome is the most sought after PvP hand cannon today. Obtainable through completing the Nightfall and the Adept version through the Grandmaster Nightfall, which I think is happening right now, is one of the best hand cannons I have ever used. This gun has stat for stat the best of all worlds. It has the ability to have the incredible range you would want to hit those further shots, amazing perks that'll suit all of your PvP needs, and it feels incredibly crispy. The role I grinded for personally was a quick draw rangefinder role to allow me to hit those shots down range and give those back of the map Andes a little piece of my mind. Grinding for this is not only a recommendation, guys, it's a must. It only comes around every few weeks. So make sure when it is time, please go to the Nightfall, go to the GM. This is not an easy gun to farm. Roles I highly recommend would be Quick Draw Rangefinder or Killing Wind Rangefinder. There have been a lot of debates going on whether or not Eyasluna was the Palindrome killer, but guys, honestly, Palindrome is just a bit better of a choice. Almost like the bigger brother, and guys, one I'm always going to have in my possession. And for the number one spot for best hand cannon in PvP, it's going to be Ace of Spades. This exotic hand cannon has so many pros with such few cons, it made it to the number one spot. Ace of Spades is a 140 RPM hand cannon with the perk Memento Mori as its shining star. This allows you, after a kill, to walk around with a kill-based kill clip upon reloading. You did not hear that wrong. You walk around with a kill clip that's not time-based, but it's dedicated to the amount of bullets that you shoot out. This means that you're hitting 90s to the head, which is pre-nerf 120 damage, at a 140 rate. Not to include getting a headshot with this weapon procs an even bigger explosion when Memento Mori is active. Another perk is the ability to see your radar upon aiming down sights, which helps you not get flanked by those pesky corner crouchers looking for their moment to shine. The only con, and this goes for all exotic hand cannons, is the lack of Icarus. If you dare jump in the air to try to get some shots over a box, be warned, your bullet will not go where you want it to. Overall, guys, that's it. Let me know what you think down in the comments if you agree, and what hand cannons you guys may be using if it wasn't on that list. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys on the next one.